Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about top K-pop and top Korean wave star Lee Seung-gi. You may have known him from TV shows, dramas, movies, and music. And at the core of this recent scandal and drama with his management agency was that he was literally 18 years a slave and was cheated out of millions of dollars by his own management company. And he has shocked the entertainment world by revealing how vulnerable and gaslit he was, and the fact that he doesn't want it anymore. He is literally gonna take them to court. And it turns out that the head of this management company, the one that was abusive and gaslit him, is a character in and of herself. She may even be a sugar mama at the Louis Vuitton store here in Korea's version of Beverly Hills. It's really weird. So we're gonna get into that. And just a reminder, coupon code Seoulite TV for all of your K-beauty technology needs. Just check out the links below. You're going to get a great deal. We lowered the prices because I think inflation is over. So all of that and more coming right up. So Lee Seung-gi has been in the business for a really long time, 18 years. He made his debut as a singer in 2004, and it is quite an accomplishment for a Korean entertainer to go through those seasons of styles and changes. He literally pretty much went through second, third, fourth generation of all of the different styles of Korean entertainment. So he is definitely somebody who is talented, hardworking, good-natured, and unfortunately in this entertainment business that made him a target from, yes, you always say you gotta watch out for those closest to you. And so the management of his career was essentially the founder of this company called Hook Entertainment. Yeah, like Captain Hook. The logo looks like a Captain Hook, but it also looks like a wire hanger. And all I have to say is that I know it's, you know, it's always, trauma is always sensitive, but the way that we have voice recordings that I'll share with you about how she talks to her employees, and the text messages that we have, and now the testimony of Lee Seung-gi of how he was treated, shows that there is probably a woman very unhinged, unwell, and I don't know if she has a fascination like Joan Crawford did with wire hangers.
No wire hangers ever! Do not always play strong in some stupid backstreet town in Oklahoma!
And that, you know, maybe no wire hangers or wire hangers all the time, but I think definitely this is a person who is lashing out at the world when she has her own trauma to deal with herself. So, how did we find out about this? Oh, in the case of most cheating and most cheaters, it was a text message that he was not supposed to get. So he made his debut in 2004, and he's had like 27 different albums. And in 2004, he was a high school senior and new to the industry. And in that day and age, definitely there was a culture, and it still pervades, but people are surprised that, you know, from Lee Seung-gi's case, like, oh, you're still under this like old, like, you know, contractless type of system. And he went into this company and he never knew how much he made as a singer. The company, when you go into these companies, it's a little bit of a different system than in the United States. I worked at a talent agency, a top talent agency in Beverly Hills, but only for a very short period of time. But I got to see a lot there. And in that environment in the United States, you have to come, especially to a top agency, already as a finished product. who pays and who develops your talent, your acting classes, all of that is like on your own, or like your parents or whoever is taking care of you, they're providing all of the lessons, and then eventually perhaps you can get an agent. Whereas in Korea, before all of that has been solidified, you're more scouted under the, and it's similar to that old Hollywood system. You're scouted more at a young age before you've actually commercially developed, and then they're trying to commercially develop you and invest in you. Now, these are the two critical things that make it a prime area for abusers and people who take advantage of other people, especially younger people, and to steal your money. They try to create an atmosphere that, like, look, I'm your senior, I am picking you, and we're going to raise you. They literally use that word in Korean, kyuda. Oh, we're going to raise you into an artist. So immediately they put on this cultural kind of like handcuffs of like, all right, well, my manager, my management company, they're sort of like this parental authoritarian figure, and they have invested in me. And so now this is also the gray area that is manipulated. They say that, like, you know, nothing comes for free. So they're going to invest in you, but you're going to have to pay that back under your future earnings. Now, if everything was transparent and by the book and shared with the information shared with the artist at all times, then that's probably not a problem. You know, if basically like acting class costs this much, if, you know, preparing for, you know, producing a musical album cost this much, and then this much amount of money came in and we're settling. And apparently that's how it really is done these days in the more advanced management companies. But then there's so many different little management companies that got started, and a lot of them got started by, you know, some nefarious figures, kind of crazy people, and they got really big because their stars got big, but their mindset still is not big, and their mindset is still a little bit mobster and gangster, if you know what I mean. And so under this situation for Lee Seung-gi, he did not know at any time even how much he got for per performance, a live performance. And they kept him in the dark about how much money he was bringing into the company, and then just told him that, oh gosh, like, your concerts always lose money. They even told him flat out that none of your music, in terms of recordings and basically to get the song royalties, they're saying like none of it makes any money. They even labeled him a minus singer. So I guess that's kind of the way that they say it in Korea. Like, oh, if you're a minus singer, that means that to produce any type of music, you always lose money. You never make it back. Well, apparently he made a ton of money. So from 2004 to 2009, they don't even have the records because the police, like a few weeks ago, raided the offices of Hook Entertainment and got a lot of data information, and now it's been spread out to the public. And from 2004 to 2009, they were trying to figure out, okay, how much money was stolen? They don't even know because all those records are gone. So from 2009 to 2021, the amount is about $10 million. They're estimating, of course, it could be more. And that is how much money that was just the royalties and the profits that came into Hook Entertainment. Then they're supposed to split that, like 70% Lee Seung-gi, 30% to the management company. I think in the beginning they started off as 60% Lee Seung-gi, then 40% management company, then he moved up to 70%, 30%. And then eventually now the top stars, they basically get 80% and the management company gets 20%. But all of that didn't matter because they told him like, oh, you didn't make any money. So 100% went to the management company under this lady named CEO Kwon. And so they totally lied to him. And even 20% is a lot because in the United States, the agent gets 10%, and that's regulated by law. Of course, in the United States, you got to pay 10% to your agent, 10% to 15% to your manager, maybe 3 to 5% to your lawyer, 3 to 5% to your publicist. So it adds up, but you get, that's how you assemble your team. And I believe that money is worth it. From the way that we were working, yeah, they got their money's worth. So he had been told all of this all of his life, and it weighed upon him. It broke his spirit. He's always saying like, oh, like, all my songs, all my music, like nobody likes it, nobody cares, like, because I don't make any money from it. But he was going out to live concerts, and I had no idea they're paid this much. And this was apparently a few years ago, because now we have testimony from his manager. So in Korea, like the guy that always follows you around is called your manager, and they're usually young guys. They're not really paid that well. They're very much abused. They're essentially glorified assistants, but they're called managers. And then basically the villain that we're talking about is CEO Kwon, who is like the manager. I think she started as a manager and then started this management company, and then she became the CEO. And then so he went out to like the different live performances, and all he needed to do was sing like 3 songs, and it was like $8,000 or $9,000. And some days he would do 3 of these events, so pulling in close to like $30,000 a day. And that information was hidden from him. And while he was going out on all of these performances, you travel, and like you have to eat, you have to drink coffee. They made a fuss whenever he wanted to drink Starbucks. Like, definitely if it was Starbucks, like the CEO even said to the manager following them around, like, okay, before you charge anything to the company card, because they split the expenses too. Because, it's not like the company's paying for everything. The company will like probably cover like 30% of the expenses, and he'll cover like 70% or some whatever ratio they work out. And so whenever they said like, oh, we're just gonna get sandwiches and coffee, she's like, no, how can you be drinking Starbucks? And then she said like, oh, have Seung-gi like pay for it with his own money, not the company credit card. And then his budget for the week was like about $150 for his entire team for food. So that's basically what, like $30 a day for like a group of people. So they would always be eating like kimbap or things that were like $1, $2 from the convenience store, maybe like 80 cents, just eating very, very simply. And even on the same one of these days when they said like, when she said you're not allowed to charge about like $50 worth of coffee and sandwiches for the whole team, when he's bringing like $30,000 in a day, she spent like about $1,600, like literally right afterwards, because they have all the financial records, at a fancy spa for a spa day for her friends, and she charged it to the company credit card. So this woman is a bit out of control. Now let's go back to like, how did he find out with this text message? Oh my God. So the text message came to him, and it wasn't supposed to. And essentially was a very technical financial accounting text message about like, oh, this is how much the songs and the albums sold within a certain time period. I don't even think it was like a year, but basically the latest report, and it showed that there was going to be a royalty payment of about $30,000 to Hook Entertainment. And so from that, they would do the split, normally. And then so he got so excited because he got this text message. And for him, this was like the first time he was supposed to finally get a split, in 2021, after 17 years. And then he went to go to one of his mentors in the entertainment industry. And he's like, oh yeah, Hyung, look at this. Like, I finally made some money. Been a minus singer all this time, and this is amazing. And then the mentor was like, wait a minute, because he's a singer too. And he's like, okay, you're way more popular than me. You sell way more than me. And I make money as a singer. So you must have made a ton of money. You should go to the management company. Because he was shocked. He was like, what? You don't even know? You have... Yeah, because people were thinking that this guy was fronting, whenever in TV interviews and stuff, people would ask him, oh, how much money do you make? Or like, what do you get for this? Or what do you... And he's like, I have no idea. And they were probably, everybody was thinking like, oh, yeah, okay. So he's just, he don't want to say anything. But he literally ended up not knowing. So last year, Lee Seung-gi went to the management company and started to ask for financial records about his earnings. And of course, well, after all these years, that's a huge hole. And a lot of explaining that even this, slick-tongued woman probably couldn't even come up with. So she kept delaying, excuse, and even like berating him for like, oh, how can you be so nitpicky about like financial records? Like, we raised you, we made you a star, like, what do you think? You think you can? And then she'd go abusive, like, oh, you think you can continue on? Like, this is the end of your career, and like, just really abusive. And then so he got sick of being given the runaround. So just last month, he said like, okay, fine, I'm gonna ask again, but I'm asking through my lawyers. You can talk to my lawyer. So he's taken it up to the legal fight, and that pissed her off. And then he made it public. That pissed her off even more. But he's saying like, look, I need to do this and I feel so utterly betrayed. Like, so this kind of betrayal, yeah, huge betrayal, because this is the type of thing, and I've definitely been in this situation here in Korea where there has been a culture, and definitely during that period was a little bit more prevalent, but not these days. It's thank goodness, like the more people speak up and against it, then what's considered normal in Korea starts to shift. And I would say it's definitely shifted to where it's a little bit more transparent. When I was doing my broadcasting career here in Korea, I had like verbal contracts, no written contracts. So there was like tons of times when like it was rife with not being able to get paid on time, having no recourse, and just trusting the word, trusting the relationship with the company. And so this is what it seems like he was under. And a lot of people in Korea, they would understand that. But now I think the general sense is that, oh, that was kind of like an old way of doing business. And they're just like, wow, there's still places like this that exist. And, I would say there are a lot more than you probably think. And so he's upset because now it's become very clear that he was funding this company, and not only that, this is why it's juicy, the extravagant lifestyle of the CEO, who would, she was just an Instagram hoe. She was always posting Instagram like Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, like get my Gucci on and everything. And even Yoo Yeon-jung, the Academy Award winning actress, the older lady from the what was it, Minari, and she has had, of course, an amazing career here. She literally, like, after this news came out and it became public, basically after the news that the entertainment office got raided and the CEO didn't even call her for like 3 or 4 days afterwards, she's like, bye Felicia. Like, it was just like she didn't make a big announcement or anything. It was just kind of like a press announcement saying like, Yoo Yeon-jung has left the building. She is no longer part of Hook Entertainment. And even before then, I think she was saying like, why are you always shopping? This CEO lady was addicted to shopping. You know how addicted to shopping she was? She was like the VVVVV. I didn't know you added so many V's to VIP, but I guess they do that here in Korea, or maybe they do it in every Louis Vuitton. But at the Louis Vuitton store in particular, she can wear her Louis Vuitton, and she was the VVVVVIP. because she spent some accounts said that she was the top spender. I don't know if she was the top spender. She could be the top spender, but she spent enough where she would always have access to, apparently there's the third floor lounge. Now this is not the Louis Vuitton in a department store. This is the Louis Vuitton like on its own, like its own building. So the third floor is a customer lounge, and from the pictures that we see, it looks like, you know, yeah, they have sofas. Maybe they will do some special events from time to time with food, but really you're not supposed to eat in there. This woman would order jjajangmyeon, you know, like the black bean noodles are slurping all over the place, that, like, you know, you're gonna get black bean sauce all over your Louis Vuitton. Okay, I guess that's how VIP she was. And not only that, the craziest thing was she would order 감자탕. Now, there's nothing wrong with Korean food, with a spicy broth, but you do that in a restaurant. You don't bring it into the third floor of the Louis Vuitton VIP lounge, because that thing, you gotta dig in. Because, okay, 감자탕, even though 감자 sound is like the word for potato, it's really the backbone vertebrae of pigs, and it's a stew. But it's like a stew where then if you want to eat the meat off the bones, this is not like, it melts off the bone type of barbecue ribs. This is like you're gnawing through some of that cartilage and those tendons, and it's like one of those meals. And she was doing this at the Louis Vuitton, and they couldn't even say anything because she spent so much money there. Now, the other thing that, because they literally got the receipts, and the other receipts that they got was that they found out that she may have been a little bit of a sugar mama. She might have had a little bit of a sugar thing at the Louis Vuitton store. There was a female employee, they just call her Employee A, who worked at Louis Vuitton, and she gave this Louis Vuitton employee a company credit card with a credit line of $10,000 a month. And in like a year and a half, she spent it, and she literally went up to the limit. She spent like $180,000. And this was a credit card that was had the second highest limit in the company. The CEO had like a $80,000 a month limit. And so they were just like, okay, this is a little bit odd, because not only did she give the employee this credit card, she hired her mother and her brother as employees and literally gave them like fake jobs, and, you know, basically to give them like money out of the company budget. And so people are thinking like, okay, like even Korean people who are against everything wrong, they'll still be like, okay, but yeah, okay, I maybe we can understand that. That's her mama, that's her brother. She's just trying to take care of her family. But the Louis Vuitton girl, and then I'm thinking like, you know, where else do you do that but love? I don't know, but you know, they're just saying that, oh well, it's a little bit weird that Miss Louis Vuitton girl quit her job and then just, you know, was using a company credit card, and so. That was one of the big parts of her spending. There's so many accounts of like what she, like the laundry list of the receipts of her profligate, luxury laden lifestyle. And here are some examples. So she spent over $100,000 on airfare. Now, granted, they say like some of this could have been for company, literally work related expenses, but they match it up to her Instagram, and a lot of the times it don't look like it's for work. It's like groups of friends, she's traveling, and then the stuff she's getting, it looks like definitely for like personal use. And she's not even somebody who is going on stage. Like, yeah, a lot of the BTS members, they'll wear Louis Vuitton and Gucci, and it's probably sponsored. They probably don't even pay for that. But even if they had to pay for it, you know, that's part of their public performance, and so, you know, you gotta have the clothes to be you know, in front of the camera. And so she wasn't even like that. She was just in front of her Instagram. And so she spent $150,000 on hotels. She spent $130,000 on food. On luxury goods alone, she spent like close to $1.5 million. So, yeah, of course she was Miss VIP thing. And that didn't even include shopping. Shopping is separate. So shopping, $32,000, $32,000 at the hospital, $130,000 on food. I mean, like, all her Instagram, she liked to eat the food. And then there was about like, so in total it was like well over $2 million over a time period that they were doing the forensic analysis on. And people are just like, wow, this is crazy to be that profligate with spending all this money while cheating your own employees. So after he went public, Lee Seung-gi, immediately he got another text message saying that $5 million had been deposited into his account as a sort of settlement from Hook Entertainment. And he's just like, no, this doesn't fly. Like, we didn't talk about this. I didn't ask for this. We didn't even have our conversation. So yeah, obviously she's trying to avoid getting caught, but it looks like she's going to get caught. So $5 million. So people are just asking her, like, what was this money for? And she's like, oh, well, there was this like interest-free loan that, Lee Seung-gi gave me. And she's just like talking out of her butt. And so he said that, like, okay, fine, I'm going to pay for my legal expenses with this, and anything left over, I'm going to donate to charity to help people who are struggling with their dreams achieve their dreams. And so she just did the dumbest thing. She basically gave him cash flow for a knockout legal team, and he is now filing suit against her. There was an investigation. Her offices were raided, and now it looks like, okay, he and her, they can go to court, but the horrible thing for him is that this is going to take forever. It might take like 3-4 years, 5 years, who knows? Like, they can drag this thing on, and it's not good for him. And so a settlement personally would be good. But where he has a little bit of leverage is that this has gotten the attention of the government, and namely the tax service, thinking, like, looking at her being like, wait a minute, like, this looks like embezzlement. And this looks like tax dodging, like paying your relatives to avoid tax, basically to give them gifts, but no, avoid tax. She bought gold bars even. They're saying, like, okay, if she kept those gold bars with company money, that's embezzlement. If she gave it out to, immediately they knew exactly where this would go, and they said, like, to broadcasting people. So a lot of the times on these music shows you had to bribe producers and stuff, and so they're saying, like, oh, if she gave it to people at broadcasting, because that's the only reason why you'd buy gold. People know this already. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that the transactions for the bribes would be in gold bars. So if she was going to be giving it out, that would also now be caught under the Kim Young-nam anti-corruption law. See, these laws were recent. Before, I guess, yeah, they were probably thinking, like, yeah, we got to do gold bars. And so she might be facing separate charges and have to go to court anyway, but from the government suing her. And this does not look good on her at all. And now even employees, current employees and past employees, are speaking out about her abusive behavior. A past manager gave a lot of details about how he had to work under these conditions, and then he was played back an undercover recording of a meeting that they were having just recently at Hook Entertainment, where Lee Seung-gi's current manager was being abused, and it was like a conference room meeting with like many other people as well, and she's like, I'm gonna kill him, that dumb, she was just like expletives, and she's saying, like, I'm going to devote my entire life to destroy him, he's done.
내가 진짜야. 안 대표. 시끄러워. 가만히 있어. 내 남은 인생 이 새끼를 야, 너 나가. 나가. 야, 너! 알겠어, 놓게. 진짜 죽여버릴 거야, 진짜.
And I was like, wait a minute, he is like one of your top revenue performers, and you keep talking about how he's family, but it doesn't sound like it's a two-way street. And so obviously, yeah, psychopath. And so she was so livid and so mad, and she was basically like yelling and screaming and hitting people and like grabbing people or telling people to stop, you know, like holding her back, and like there's like chairs sounds like screeching all over the place. She does not seem well at all, and she actually, and a lot of times, like, you know, I think when people hear this recording, they're like, yeah, well, you know, we've seen that, so it's not like uncommon. So that's why I think that this is not going to go well for her, because everybody knows, like, whatever she says to try to soften the thing, like, yeah, everyone's going to think she's a liar because they know what kind of person she is, because we've all dealt with this type of person. And so in her public statement, and so Hook's entertainment statement, they're just like, no, we didn't do anything wrong, like, you know, even if something inadvertently happened, we're very sorry about that. And she said that, like, even if I have to dig into my own personal money, I will compensate everything that was like mistaken. And people are just like, oh, okay, nobody uses their, you know, nobody offers their own personal money. You must have really done something wrong. And obviously her personal money, that was like Lee Seung-gi's money, like, you know, yeah, she stole the money. So this becomes like a really convoluted situation that I hope Lee Seung-gi can get out of quickly by settling. Now, this is, again, like, I see how he maybe, like all of us, a lot of us who like think the legal system can solve a sense of justice. And in a way, you know, like we've covered a lot of times on this channel, from the Seoul Ferry and also Itaewon Crowd Crush and many other cases, you can't necessarily get that feeling unless you are very concrete about that feeling is tied to, okay, get my money back from the contract. Courts do really well with money and receipts and those types of things. They don't do well in terms of saying like, oh, that's wrong, like, you know, you're wrong, you're a bad person, or you shouldn't be, you know, lying all the time or gaslighting. But if you lie, you know, if you're trying to like cheat the government out of their money, then, you know, then they'll be like, oh, you shouldn't be a bad person, you know. So a lot of one-way streets here, right? So she is going to probably have to face the music. I don't think she can live this down, because to me, Yoon Yo-jung walking out like that with not a word makes it super clear that that was not a good place. And apparently, like, even she was gaslit about like, oh, you so old, like, you know, that's why you can't get much commercials, or that's why this rate is. And from what I've heard is like, even like companies that aren't like really getting into that much trouble, they do take advantage of the artists all the time. I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that, you know, a lot of foreign actors, and, you know, in the Korea Herald, I believe they did a whole series on like why foreign talent have fled Korea because of the abusive and shady business practices that they are also under. Well, I heard recently that foreign actors, a lot of the times, they're cheated out of money by their own management company in the following manner. So they'll negotiate with the production team or whoever is, you know, doing the big movie project or TV show. And this was TV show in particular, and they negotiated per episode. So you get, you know, money per episode. But then they tell the production team, like, oh, can we just, because they're busy, can we film all of his episodes in one day? And then they tell the talent that they're being paid per day, not per episode. So per episode could be, you know, let's say it's like, I don't know, like how, like $2,000 an episode. So if it's 5, it'd be like $10,000. But then they might have said like, oh, you're only being paid for the day, and the day is like $2,000. And then so they pocket the difference. So there are so many different schemes, like the way that they did the scheme with the even with the money that they were getting from like different clients, they would do some sort of complicated accounting to do so that like 7% would go to the company and 3% would like go boomerang back to the pockets of, you know, key people in Hook Entertainment. There's been all these exposés on like Dispatch, so if you want to go look that up. So this has been something that really kind of pissed me off, because I could definitely see where I have, felt this, been through this, and so I feel for Lee Seung-gi. And again, it makes people like stop to think like, wow, even Lee Seung-gi is dealing with this and has a hard time. And when my light bulb moment was when Rain was also on a TV show and they wouldn't pay him. Like he didn't get paid on time, or he never got paid, or then he had to go try to get his money. I was like, okay, well, even if Rain can't get his money, I'm like, okay, I can't get my money. Something weird is going on. And so that's just been so frustrating. And so I'm glad that he spoke up, because more people, especially in his position, should speak up about this. And oh yeah, he's basically being like trafficked around like as if he was like a plaything for the CEO. She would like go to karaoke a lot, and then she would just call up Lee Seung-gi to come over and sing some songs. So, he was a top singer, just to brag in front of her friends. And he has stuff to do, and he has to be, on set, but he had to go out in the middle of the night and sing these songs for them. Just absolutely ridiculous. And speaking of Rain, actually, and I know this is true because I know some other like big CEO lady, I didn't go to this, like some friend of a friend wanted me to go, and there was like this big CEO lady of an entertainment company, and they said like, oh, you should come. I was like, I don't want to go. And then so I was just like, I need to go to sleep. And then apparently I heard later on, they're like, oh yeah, she called Rain, and Rain came over and sang some songs. I was just like, oh my goodness, like, dang. So he had to endure a lot, and I think for him the biggest thing is that feeling of betrayal. It's not necessarily the money, and that whole 18 years of him living through the identity of being like a minus singer, and that for an artist is way worse than being cheated out of money, because that is literally being cheated out of your artistic integrity. And so I'm sure he is really mad, but I hope he is mad enough to basically like squeeze as much out of her to settle quickly. And then just one last thing, the shady part is that she had kind of sold her company to a different like other like weird entity, like it's called Green Snake or something, or Gecko, I don't know. It looks a little shady. So she doesn't even own the company, and so again that makes it a little bit tougher for her legally, because if it were her own company, she would be able to just like more or less like spend her money, but she sold it, so now it becomes less clear and becomes a little bit easier probably to say that, look, wow, like you've just been embezzling all over the place, and people don't necessarily, as long as you benefit, as long as other people benefit, they're fine with the embezzling. But if they see somebody else embezzling and having a grand old party that does not include them, oh, they want to put a stop to it. So I'm sure there are many forces here that want to put a stop to her. And there's probably a lot of artists now who are very well connected because she has, big stars who are also now like, we gotta put an end to it. So that is what's going on so far with Lee Seung-gi. Lee Seung-gi will eventually, we'll get some more updates on it, but I just wanted to let you know about that. But that's been super crazy. So what do you guys think? Put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye, guys.